After 9 seasons of Chrisley Knows Best, some viewers may be wondering what life was like for Todd Chrisley before he got famous. Keep reading to find out about this and more. Before Todd Chrisley was the well-known patriarch of Chrisley Knows Best, he made his money doing something else. Fans may remember that Todd was a real estate investor just prior to Chrisley Knows Best premiering for the first time in 2014. Major financial changes began for Todd in 2008. His real estate firm, Chrisley Asset Management, went into financial crisis and eventually filed for bankruptcy in 2013. From the sounds of what Todd Chrisley's first wife, Teresa Terry, tells the media, it isn't surprising that the Chrisleys ended up on television. Teresa Terry recollects how Todd stood out as a teen. Even back then, he appreciated quality clothing and everything TV-related. Distractify reports that in sometime around 2014, Todd Chrisley hears from All 3 Media and Maverick Television. The production companies offered a sizzle reel. Then, something shocking happens. 9 out of 10 networks put in an offer for a show. Unfortunately, a successful show didn't keep the Chrisleys out of financial trouble. In 2019, Todd and Julie Chrisley were arrested on several financial-related charges. As TV show's Ace previously reports, Todd's estimated net worth is a shocking $5 million. So how did the reality television star make his millions earlier in his professional life? Todd Chrisley made money flipping houses. Shockingly, his ex-wife, Teresa Terry, gives some insight into this part of Todd's life. She tells Mail Online that the Chrisley patriarch was still in his 20s when he took up refurbishing homes. Teresa also tells the outlet he liked real estate. That's where he made all his money, and that's what he did from the beginning. He'd find houses. He'd fix them up and make them amazing, and then it was on to the next house. When it comes to Todd Chrisley's professional future, it appears that the former millionaire has a lot to look forward to. During an episode of Chrisley Confessions, he lets listeners know that he aspires to be a male Martha Stewart. Chrisley fans can expect to see a houseware line from the reality television star. Todd hopes that by 2022 people will see things from him in stores. What do you think about Todd Chrisley and his past professional endeavors? Please share your thoughts with us in the comment section below. Make sure to come back to TV show's Ace for more Chrisley Knows Best news. Don't forget, the Chrisleys have a new time. Tune in to USA Network Thursday nights at 7:30/8:30 key for a new episode of Chrisley Knows Best. Before becoming a household name through reality television, Todd Chrisley led a life marked by ambition, reinvention, and the pursuit of success in the American South's business landscape. Long before he became known for his sharp tongue and picture-perfect family on Chrisley Knows Best, Todd was carving out a path that mixed real estate, risk-taking, and a vision of opulence that would later become his trademark. His journey before fame reveals a complex figure, not easily summed up by the curated episodes of reality TV Humble Beginnings in Georgia-born Michael Todd Chrisley on April 6, 1969, in Georgia. Todd was raised in Westminster, South Carolina, in a modest, working-class home. His father, Gene Raymond Chrisley, was a U.S. Army veteran, and his upbringing was rooted in traditional Southern values, family loyalty, hard work, and faith. Todd's early environment was far from the gilded life he would one day showcase, but even as a child, he exhibited a flair for presentation, image, and ambition. Though details about his educational background remain relatively sparse, Todd wasn't known for following a traditional academic path. He was more interested in business than in books and gravitated early toward entrepreneurship. For Todd, the promise of the American dream lay not in academia, but in hustle and enterprise. A foray into real estate by the 1990s, Todd Chrisley had entered the real estate business. This decision would define the first major chapter of his adult life. He wasn't simply flipping houses or selling modest suburban homes. He had grander ambitions. Todd positioned himself in the world of real estate investment and property management, founding what would become his flagship business venture, Chrisley Asset Management. Through this company, he dealt with distressed properties and foreclosures. He would acquire homes at a reduced cost, often during financial downturns, and then either sell them for profit or manage them as part of a broader real estate portfolio. His work required a sharp eye for market trends, calculated risk-taking, and strong negotiation skills. At the height of his business activity, Chrisley Asset Management claimed to oversee properties worth millions. This venture brought Todd significant, at least temporarily. He built an image of affluence, complete with luxury cars, designer clothes, and a sprawling estate in Atlanta. From the outside, it looked like he had arrived, achieving the Southern version of high society: money, taste, and influence. But the real estate business is notoriously volatile, and cracks in the empire began to show. The appearance of wealth versus financial reality. Even before fame, Todd Chrisley understood the power of appearance. He cultivated a personal brand that screamed success. But beneath the curated image lay a more precarious financial reality. The real estate industry is as much about perception as it is about profit. As long as the markets were favorable, Todd's business model worked. But when the 2008 financial crisis hit, many who thrived on speculative investment or over-leveraged property dealings were exposed. Chrisley Asset Management suffered in the wake of the housing collapse, and the consequences would follow Todd for years. By the early 2010s, Todd was involved in multiple lawsuits and financial disputes. Bankruptcy filings and accusations of mismanagement began to surface. In 2012, he filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy, claiming nearly $50 million in debt, including personal liabilities and business-related costs. Despite this, Todd and his family continued to live lavishly, occupying a 30,000-square-foot mansion and maintaining the lifestyle of the rich and famous. This dissonance between the glamorous facade and the troubled finances would become a defining feature of his public persona, especially once he entered the spotlight of reality TV. Entrepreneurial spirit beyond real estate. Even as his financial troubles grew, Todd's entrepreneurial mindset didn't waver. He experimented with other ventures, some more publicized than others. There were whispers of investments in fashion, branding initiatives, and consulting work related to lifestyle and wealth management. While none of these projects reached the success or notoriety of his real estate business, they showed a continued desire to reinvent and stay relevant. He understood that in modern America, success was as much about perception and influence as it was about income. This realization would eventually steer him toward television, the perfect platform for someone who wanted to control their narrative, display their lifestyle, and establish themselves as a larger-than-life personality. Calculated leap into reality television. The transition to reality TV wasn't accidental. Todd had long seen the entertainment world as a viable avenue to fame and influence. With his family's photogenic appeal, dramatic dynamics, and Southern charm, the Chrisleys seemed tailor-made for the screen. Their show, Chrisley Knows Best, debuted in 2014 on the USA Network. The series portrayed Todd as a perfectionist patriarch, managing a wealthy, opinionated family with humor and extravagance. It capitalized on traditional family values laced with modern flair. Discipline met designer wardrobes. Dinner table arguments were balanced with heartfelt confessions. In many ways, Todd's pre-fame years had built toward this moment. His control over image, his affinity for drama, and his knowledge of how to project success were all key elements that made the show work. While Chrisley Knows Best brought fame, it also pulled back the curtain on a man who had spent years balancing between wealth and debt, success and scrutiny. The legacy of the pre-fame years. What Todd Chrisley did before fame wasn't just real estate. He crafted a persona. He built and lost fortunes. He navigated lawsuits and bankruptcy with a determined smile. He learned how to maintain appearances, manage narratives, and build a personal brand in an age where image often outweighs reality. His pre-fame life shaped the man the world would come to know. It laid the foundation for both his rise and his eventual legal troubles. In a sense, the years before Chrisley Knows Best weren't a prelude, they were the blueprint. They were years filled with ambition and risk. Years where he turned modest beginnings into a version of the American dream. Years that revealed his talent for business, even if the execution sometimes faltered. Years in which he learned that wealth could be displayed even when it wasn't fully there. And years that hinted at the legal and financial scrutiny that would eventually return to challenge his fame. Todd Chrisley's story, long before the cameras arrived, is that of a man who never stopped aiming higher, even when the costs began to outpace the returns. His journey through real estate, bankruptcy, and relentless reinvention underscores a central theme of the American celebrity experience: the power of reinvention and the fine line between reality and reality television.